Hello, everybody. Thanks for checking out this talk. And we're going to continue working through Alone Together and talking about chords, scales, the relationship between those two. So I'll be giving out some mode names and things like that. So we left off with the A section and talked a bit about that. So we did that in two segments over the last two talks. And so today we'll bring up the bridge, B section, and talk about that a bit. All right. So this video and audio is available on the YouTube member area, overview and analysis. And then the audio is available on the podcast. Okay, so let's review the key center that we're with on this. And you could, of course, play this tune in different keys, but we're looking at the key of D minor here. So D is the tonic note. And we have a minor chord. All right. And so let's talk about the B section here. So first chord is the A minor 7 flat 5. Go to the D7 flat 9. And into the G minor. So the tune aside, if you just took this sort of as a given moment or take it out of the context of the tune itself, we have a 2-5 1 progression. So in the context of the tune, the G is the 4 chord. Okay, so we want to kind of consistently just keep those two levels of understanding within our awareness. So again, let's check out the A minor. A minor 7 flat 5. So if we think about that, as the key of 2 flats, let's say for a moment, G minor has 2 flats. We can use Locrian. I think we I actually talked about this a little bit. The Locrian mode. Now another one we might consider comes from G harmonic minor. So the difference there and that one note that I played a minute ago, that's another scale that you could kind of think of too, which maybe I'll touch on that a little bit. Okay, so that would be the natural 9. And you can actually pair that with the natural 6 as well. But what we're aiming to do here is keep that flat 9. And so the reason for that is that that's a B flat, right? So that is in G minor. Right, that's the minor third of that sound. So if we want to keep that character going, then the flat 9 to the A to the B flat gives us the B flat as well. Okay, so then when we get to thinking about the D7 flat 9, right? We can use that same type of scale. Now here we do have choices too, but the first thing we'll think about is using that Phrygian dominant or the Mixolydian flat 9 flat 13. Which comes out of that same G sharp harmonic minor scale. So there is a scale that you can use over those two chords, and you could actually continue to use it on the G minor as well. And one thing that you might think of too when you get to the G minor is to maybe play back and forth between the 5 and the 1 there. Okay, so that's just a little something that you can do, especially if a chord lasts for 2 measures. Then you might add a little tension, so you could do 5 5 1 5 1 5 1 back and forth on that sound. So kind of just weaving in and out of that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about G minor, and then I will say that D7. There's a lot that we can do there too. Altered scale. Is one that can be pretty effective. Dialing up the dissonance, and again with dominant 7th chords, there are quite a lot of things that you can kind of play. So, for example, you can start using diminished type sounds. Now that gets a little interesting, right? Because we have the B natural with that, so that is something to be kind of aware of. Another interesting idea there on dominant seventh chords is to play something like so you get sort of like the altered scale, but you have a natural fifth. Right, so on to G minor. And so as we talk about these, one thing I want to try to avoid conveying is that you need to use like this on this and do this. What I want to get across is to explore and hear and get familiar with different sounds on particular chords and particular chord progressions. So I'm really um, not saying to do this on this chord necessarily. So just kind of throwing out some options, and these are kind of probably the first couple of things or a few things you might consider on a given sound. So I'm sticking with things that are fairly inside. All right, so G minor. We could think about playing Dorian type sound. Aeolian sounds. And then another, so I'm referencing the standards real book here. And so another bit of a change that they have written in parentheses here is G minor, sharp 5, and then 6, G minor 6. Okay. Now, since we've kind of already talked about this one as well, you might think too just about chromatic tones, also pentatonic type sounds. And one thing that we've been talking about too in the improvisation topics on the YouTube channel is melodic structures. So let's maybe just talk a little bit about a couple of those ideas as far as content of notes on chords goes. So let's say we have the A minor 7, flat 5. Let's talk about pentatonics. So let's say we play okay, so this is, you might think of this as like a dominant 7, like a mode of the dominant pentatonic, but sus and with a flat 9. And then we're, rather than thinking about it in terms of D, we're thinking about A F diminished. That probably sounds a little bit complicated, but it's really not too bad. So if you have a D7, sus 4, flat 9, right? Then that sound, if you can kind of compare it to the dominant pentatonic, then you just say, okay, third is going to be replaced by the fourth. The root is going to be down a half, or not the root. The 9 is going to be down a half step. So, and then just think of that as a mode of that, and then say, okay. One easy way to arrive at that is, I think a lot of guitarists are, as far as pentatonic goes, they're very familiar with the minor pentatonic. So you could take an A minor pentatonic and just lower the fifth. You can also take the blues scale and just remove the fifth. So those are a couple little things to kind of consider and think about, but we're not talking about those things too much in this tune and in this talk. But those are scales to consider. And then the melodic structures, which I'm pulling this idea from Jerry Bergonzi in his series of books. So the first one, melodic structures, he talks about having maybe something like that. I'm talking about it based on this chord we're talking about, but having maybe like a 4-note grouping. But I don't want to get into that too much because although that is related to scales, I want to keep this mostly about seven notes. But I thought since we talked a little bit about this particular progression earlier in the tune, but branch out a little bit there. So let's go on to the second half of the B section. So we have a pretty similar chord progression here. We're going from the G minor 7 flat 5 to the C7 flat 9. And this time we're going to a major chord. That's a really nice effect, I find. So having something that sounds like it's going to minor, but then ends up going to major. So it's pretty cool. So, and then if we think about G minor, so we landed on G minor a moment ago, and now we're taking the same chord but lowering the fifth. Of that. Okay. And then that's kind of important, right? Because, and maybe from a composer's point of view, you might say, well, we're already on G minor, and then we stay on the same chord and the same chord quality. We're not dialing up a lot more tension. So dropping that 5 kind of gives you something. So we get A minor 7 flat 5 going to D7 flat 9 to the G minor, and then G minor 7 flat 5 to C7 flat 9 to the F major. So let's talk about this G minor 7 flat 5, and then we'll maybe explore some of those ideas with the natural 9, and talk a little bit about how thinking about that one chord, the major one chord of F, can affect a little bit of your choices possibly on the 2 of the G minor. So we have G minor 7 flat 5, right? So we might say, okay, Well, Locrian is kind of a, you might say, go-to chord scale kind of thing on that sound. But what if we just change the A flat to an A natural? Okay, so that changes things a little bit. So then we can say, okay, well, it is fairly compatible, right? Because we have we're going to F and we have an A natural on the F chord. So you could really make a decision, maybe you want to play the flat 9 because it's going to create more contrast, and then you could, maybe encircle the A later or something like that. Um, but anyway, it's a choice to make, kind of based on what you're wanting to hear. But as far as practice sessions go, um, see if you can try both and get familiar um, with each one. So that way, sometimes you might want to play one, sometimes you might want to play the other. Okay, let's check out C7 flat 9 here. So I'm just playing C7. Well, I'll play the 9 on the guitar. Actually, maybe I'll put it in here. Okay, so let's talk about this scale. This is kind of an interesting scale too. So this ties in a little bit to what we were just talking about maybe having an A natural, which you don't need to, but um, for the sake of maybe just trying to keep things as close to where you're going and just moving out from there. Since that has an A natural, that F has an A natural again. Then we can maybe say, well, maybe we'll try a scale that has that. Now the chord itself has the flat 9, so you could say, okay, well, let's think about Mixolydian, which has a natural 9, and then just lower that and keep everything else kind of the same. So, okay, and that's a mode of F harmonic major. So it's pretty interesting to compare that. So harmonic minor and a harmonic major. So they both have the flat 6, and they both have um, the major 7 relative to their tonic, and then one one has the minor characteristic, the flat third, and one has the major third. So that's an interesting thing to play. Now, one thing that I kind of like about um, the harmonic minor, let's say, or even alter scale or all that on the C7 is you do get a little contrast with the A. So kind of not having it in there. Yeah, kind of dancing around it there is a nice effect too. So you might say, okay, well, maybe I want to play a Phrygian dominant. And then when you resolve to the F, then you can play the major third. All right. So that's something to consider there. Um, and then the F major, um, try, kind of the key center is key of one flat, right? So, but you might play around with the sharp 11 sound. But kind of try it and explore it, and then you can kind of control it and decide, what kind of sound am I going for there. So we'll go over a couple more chords here before we end it out, but let me just check and see if any questions have come in. And so I'm streaming this live here, so I'm taking questions and stuff like that. So let's talk about these last few chords. So there are a couple of chords that are in parentheses on this book, standards, real book. Let's check out this B9 sharp 11. So I'm playing a B7 sharp 11, but we could play this voicing. Put that over a B, so that gives us a 9 here on top. Okay, so let's think about the chord scale. So when we have natural 9, sharp 11, then you might think about the Lydian dominant scale. So let's say that kind of sound. So that's one of the modes of the melodic minor. All right, so that's a really good sound there. B flat 13. There you might actually use something pretty similar. Okay, and then things start to cycle back into to D minor. So we're setting that up. So we have E minor 7 flat 5 to A7 flat 9. So E minor 7 flat 5 to the A7 flat 9. And so again there, you might think about the D harmonic minor, and we've covered that change a bit. So just to review that, what I would advise you to do is think about D harmonic minor as a collection of tones, and then either loop or play something like E minor 7 flat 5, and then kind of explore the sound of that. And you can kind of do it note by note and just really, you know, get your ear acclimated to it. Like, what is that sound? What does that sound like when I play against that harmony or with that harmony, and listen for that particular uh, consonance or dissonance, and then the kind of the flavor or the sort of the coloring of what that sound impression is for you. All right, everybody. Well, that will conclude our talk for today. And so if you are checking this out on the podcast, which will be available for replay, check out the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Fret Prince. And check out the overview and analysis. I'm thinking I will probably include some live stream podcasts from different levels. I don't think I'll do like um every one of the videos, but at least I'm doing quite a few because I want to create a set basically of this chord progression. So I'm going to do one more podcast tomorrow with this overview and analysis. So you can have, all those things. But also, if you're watching the video or the live stream on YouTube, check out the podcast and see if you could listen to this and focus on the ear aspect of it, and the concepts and things that I'm talking about as well. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next one.